what started a lot of the river operations over there was, I remember Admiral Hoffman, who was Captain Hoffman then, had come down from Cameron Bay by hopping boats all the way down the coast. I got a call to go pick him up from a Coast Guard cutter and take him back to Antoy. So we picked him up. We were on our way back to Antoy, and Captain Hoffman said, "Well, how many VC did you kill today, Brown?" And the answer was none. And I told him that because we patrolled the coastline, that VC and North Vietnamese didn't have to mess with us. They had complete control of the inland areas, and there was no need to come out into the Gulf of Thailand. A week later, there was a message that came out from Captain Hoffman to all the coastal divisions that river mouths and estuaries are likely target areas. Go get them, Tigers. And from then on, we were in the river business. Most of my fellow officers and other crewmen weren't too happy about that. They blame us for getting all this mess started. Probably the most famous incident that we had was that there was a river down south, right near the tip of the Canal Peninsula, called the Kulan River. A lot of people had gone in 1,500 yards or so and been shot at, and we wanted to explore a little further. We were under direct orders not to go any farther than 1,500 yards past Fish Island, but we didn't usually pay too much attention to that. We got in just past Fish Island. We saw a boat in the river. My gunner's mate saw him for he was up in the gun tub. They saw the boat, so we took off up the river. They tried to evade us. He asked for permission to shoot. I gave him permission. He shot up the boat, and the two guys disappeared. We never saw any bodies. We don't know what happened to them, but we know they didn't make it to shore. Once we got up to that point and were looking for any traces of the boat or the bodies, we saw some houses with some smoke coming out of it. So we decided to venture a little farther up the river. Along the way, I was taking the flare gun and shooting flares onto the rooftops, because this entire area was considered a free fire zone, that there were no friendlies in the area, and anything we saw we could shoot at. We got up there, we shot up the area a little bit. We noticed some more houses a little further up the river, so we went up there, did the same thing. We went a little farther, we kept getting drawn in. We got to a point where there was a bend in the river. We went around the bend, and all of a sudden there was this large city, which we found out later was called Nam Can. It used to be the provincial capital of that particular province. Nobody around. A whole lot of big boats and little boats tied up along the shore, the piers. We shot up a lot of them. Did a lot of stupid things like take mortars and tape a grenade to it, put tissue paper around the handle, pull the pin, throw it into the boat, and then of course when it got wet, it got into the boat, it'd get wet, the tissue paper would come off and the thing would blow up. We shot mortars at buildings, which was like throwing mud at concrete, but we never saw any more people that I remember. But we did a lot of shooting up of their boats and things like that. We got to a point where we ran out of the charts that we had. We ran off the charts. And always before, when swift boats went into the rivers, they would always turn around and go back out the same way they came in. And almost invariably, they would get ambushed. So I knew, having looked at the area chart in the headquarters at Antoy, that this river connected with a river called the Bodie, which led out to the South China Sea. So I just said, well, let's go out that way. Rather than turn around and go back, we know we'll get ambushed. We might be able to get out the other way. So we kept going until we saw this large river, made a turn, and just probably a couple of 1,000 yards from getting out of scot-free, we did get ambushed, but it was strictly small arms fire. And on the first few bursts, you could hear the bullets go over. It was kind of funny because my bosun mate, Dan Starks, who was on the rear gun, he came walking up to the pilot house where I was and said, "I think somebody's shooting at us." You can hear a little psst, bullets went by. And then right after he left to go back to his gun, we got hit in the pilot house. I was sitting in the doorway with my feet over the side. I turned to see what was going on. A bunch of rounds hit the pilot house console and the radar. I got some shrapnel from the radar, and Dave here got hit in the leg. He fell out of the chair, so I jumped into the chairs, slammed the throttles, and kept going just to get the heck out of there. When we came out the other side, there were a couple of swift boats from the Vung Tau, or Catlow division. And they were kind of shocked. It's like, where'd you guys go from? We came from the South China Sea. Nobody had ever done that. The fact that we got wounded, I had to file a report. I was immediately recalled. We were down there with another crew, taking turns, alternating patrol areas and alternating crews. And by the time we got all the way back around the Kamau Peninsula, back up to the Coast Guard cutter that we were operating off of, we had orders to return to Antoy.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that probably saved us from a court martial was Admiral Zumwalt thought it was great and gave us all medals.